Okay, central venous access. So I'm going to show you a few different types of CVCs. So here we have central venous catheters. I have three of them here. The first one is a single lumen. So there's just this one lumen sutured in place. The second one is 3 lumens. And finally we have a 5 lumen. The vast majority of the time in this hospital you will see 5 lumens. Some hospitals have 4, but as a general rule we put in more than 1. I've actually never put in one of these. It's always been at least 3, 4 or 5. So they're all different sizes, so you can see the gauge is written on the side of each of these. Let me see if I can make that a little clearer. 18 gauge, and I'll tell you what the medial means. 18 gauge, so that's like a green cannula. 14 gauge, which is like an orange cannula. 18, that's like another green. This brown lumen here is like a 16 gauge, which is a grey cannula, and another 18 gauge. So that's like 3 green cannulas, a grey cannula, and an orange cannula. So the greens are the smallest there, the 16 is wider, and then the 14 is widest. The medial and distal and proximal, all that means is that as these lumens progress down into the hub and down into here, they come out at a different part of the tip. So this is 15 centimeters long, so that's roughly how much we put into the skin. And each of those lumens continues as an individual lumen all the way down to the end. And if we can see here, there's the distal hole there. That's usually the brown lumen. It says distal on it here, I believe. Brown is distal. Yep. And then we also have these other holes. So each lumen comes out at a different part. The drugs that you give through these or anything you give through them don't mix as soon as they reach this part. They're individual all the way down to the very end until we get to the exit point for that particular lumen. It's the same with the 3 lumen. This is cut a little bit short, so unfortunately I can't show you, but they all are separate lumens all the way to the end. So that's our CVCs. I unfortunately don't have a pic here to show you, but a pic is a peripherally inserted central catheter. So it goes into the vein around the antecubital fossa. It's usually a little bit thinner than this, and usually 1 or 2 lumens, goes all the way up through the vein and into the superior vena cava. I'll do my best to get a little picture and show you guys that. The other type of central venous access I wanted to show you are Vascaths. So here's a selection of Vascaths here. So they're slightly different from hospital to hospital. The ones we have here are like this one in the middle. Okay, they come in 2 lengths, 15 and 20 centimeters. We use the 15 up in the neck, we use the 20 centimeter down in the femoral, so it goes all the way up into the larger veins, maybe even up into the inferior vena cava in a short person. So the difference with Vascaths is, again, we have 3 lumens here, but what you're primarily concerned about are these 2 very, very large lumens. Proximal and medial, they're both 12 gauge, so that's bigger than an orange cannula. We don't have a peripheral cannula that size. And additionally, it has the volume on each of it here. 1.1 mil in this lumen and 1.2 mil in this lumen. And that's what it takes to fill the lumens all the way down to the exit points. So you see we have 3 exit points there. 1, 2, and the tip. So this one is proximal, this one is medial, and this one is distal. So that's the one that comes out at the end. Not every Vascath you'll see has this. This little lumen is for giving drugs. You can see it's a 16 gauge, like a grey cannula. And that's just for giving drugs. It comes out a completely separate lumen down into your large vein. But the purpose of your large lumen is dialysis, or occasionally very large volume resuscitation. So when you're doing dialysis, continuous dialysis, you need to pull out large volumes of blood and you need to return large volumes of blood. So that's why they're so wide, to be able to achieve those kind of flows that are required to pull blood out and dialyze it. So it's continuously being removed and replaced, pulled out via one and returned via the other. It doesn't matter which lumen you use. This one beside it is just the same, really. So in some hospitals you won't have this middle lumen, but we like them because then you can give drugs to somebody. And it tells you the French and the length of them there, so 16 centimeter. So 15 to here, 16 all the way to the hub. This one is just to show you ones that you might see in other hospitals. They're exactly the same except for the tips of them curve back like this. This is often inserted, when it's inserted into the neck, it's inserted and it comes at a bit of an angle like this, so this can be up towards someone's ear. So these curve down out of the way and they're already curved for you, so they're not sticking up by someone's ear and annoying them. This one also has a little lumen in the center for giving drugs, but works exactly the same way. So they are the two main types of central venous catheter that you're going to see on the ward. The Vascath for very large volumes in and out for dialysis, and then a central venous catheter for either giving drugs that you can't give into a peripheral vein because they're too irritant, or for very difficult access.